friends, I'm Sarah. Welcome back to my channel, Sunset Bow Tarot. And today I wanted to do a response to a tag that was started by Benebell Wen. And the tag here is 7 philosophical questions. And the idea with this tag is that you use your tarot deck to help you understand what your answers would be to 7 sort of classic philosophical questions. I wanted to use my Spirit Keepers Tarot for this because I haven't spent a lot of time getting to know this deck yet, and this felt like a really good getting to know you exercise with the Spirit Keepers Tarot. So I also wanted to use Benebell's method of actually selecting the cards for this tag. So what she does is she uses a significator, and this deck actually comes with 3 different significator cards. So they're all Key 0, the Fool. But the one that she uses is this one, the Seeker, Spirit in Search of Science. So this is a good representation of a person who is seeking wisdom and knowledge about, these particular philosophical quandaries. So basically what she does is she shuffles this card into the deck and then uses it, goes through the deck until she finds this card, and then the card right underneath it gives the answer to the question. So the first philosophical question that's going to be answered in this set of readings is the trolley problem. So this is a classic philosophical problem. There's a whole episode about it in the show The Good Place, if you've ever watched that show. But basically the trolley problem is you're in a trolley, and the track in front of you splits off. And if the trolley keeps continuing straight forward, there's 5 people on the track, and it will hit those 5 people and they'll all die. The other option that you have is you have the option to divert the trolley off onto a side track where there's only 1 person. And if you do that, then 1 person will die instead of 5. So the question is basically, do you let 5 people die through inaction, or do you take action to only kill 1 person? So it's this whole question about, whether, letting the nature take its course is better, or whether it's more moral to take action. There's like elements of utilitarianism in this, the greatest good for the greatest number, all these kinds of things. So it's a really, really classic philosophical question. And so I am going to go ahead and shuffle my cards, and let's see how I personally would answer this question. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I am going to go through the deck and look for my significator, the Seeker. Okay, and the card right under it is the 10 of Orbs. And the card right under it is the 10 of Orbs. So, the 10 of Orbs. So, how I would answer this question, the 10 of Orbs, there's always a number of people in this card. It often reflects a family. It often reflects lineage. It often reflects the consequences of the outcomes, for decisions that you make along the way. And there's a really strong sort of materialistic kind of feel to this card. Again, these are orbs, so it's pentacles or discs or coins, This is the card of Earth. And so this tells me that I would probably take a pretty utilitarian view of the trolley problem. I would probably seek out what I would consider to be the greatest good for the greatest number. And I probably wouldn't be thinking so much about myself, and whether I wouldn't be thinking so much about the question of do I take action or do I not take action. I would be thinking about the outcome and the consequences, and how things are going to turn out down the line. And so I think what this is telling me, and I think this is probably true, I think what this is telling me is that I would divert the trolley onto the track that only had 1 person on it and only kill 1 person rather than 5 people. And I would have to live with the consequences of those actions, but that, ultimately if that is the greatest good for the greatest number, that's going to be the outcome that I would be seeking. So, you know, again, this tells me that I would probably take a pretty utilitarian approach to the trolley problem, and I would end up actually diverting the trolley, because it's not so much about me and the decision that I make, it's about the outcome for the actual people involved, and the consequences of my decision making for other people in the world. So so that's how I would answer that one, and I think that's accurate to how I would actually answer the trolley problem. I was a philosophy minor in college, so I've definitely thought about the trolley problem before, and I've always been pretty sure that that's the answer that I would give. I couldn't just let 5 people die, and I would have a difficult time saying, okay, I'm going to choose that for this one person to die, but ultimately it's not about me, it's about those people. And you know, I would rather have one person die than have 5 people die. So that's just the reality of the situation. So anyway, okay, so the next question in this tag is, what difficult truth about the human condition are you ignoring? What difficult truth about the human condition am I ignoring? The Seeker. All right. And the card underneath my significator is the 5 of Chalices, which is the 5 of Cups, the Grotesque. So in terms of difficult truths about the human condition, you know, I think that what this tells me is that it's not so much that I maybe ignore difficult truths about the human condition, it's that I maybe am overly focused on the difficult truths about the human condition, and that potentially makes my life kind of difficult. You know, I think that that the grotesque would seem to indicate that I fixate potentially on difficult truths. I mean, the whole point of this card is the person with the spilled cups right in front of them, and they're not noticing the full cups behind them. And so I think what this maybe is telling me is that, you know, the difficult truth that I'm ignoring is that I actually have the power to make things better. That fixating on what's gone wrong right in front of me is not actually helping anything, and that I could turn around and pick up those 2 full cups, and by taking action and by making a decision to focus on what I can do that is good, I could make a bigger difference than fixating on what is bad. So I think that that might be what this card is telling me, and that definitely resonates. You know, I have a tendency to kind of feel helpless. I have a tendency, especially nowadays, with so much of what's going on in the world, I have a tendency to really feel like nothing that I do matters. And I try to do things that will make a small difference, but I could probably do more. And that's the reality of the situation, is that, you know, what this card would say is that nothing about the human condition is unsalvageable, but you got to do what it requires in order to salvage it. So so yeah, I think that's how I would interpret that one. Number 3 is, what does it mean to live a good life? So let's find out. Seeker. Okay. Oh, okay. So the card underneath underneath the Seeker here is the Gardener, the 7 of Orbs. So I love this as the question of what it means to live a good life. You know, what it means to live a good life is to plant seeds of goodness wherever you can and carefully tend them. I mean, this is telling me that to live a good life takes work. You know, to live a good life means to put things in the ground. You know, you have to decide what you want your outcome to be, and you have to take the action that's going to allow that outcome to happen in the future. You know, living a good life isn't about just sitting back and waiting for things to happen. It's about making decisions, looking at you know, taking action on those decisions, seeing what the outcome is. And, you know, sometimes you need to reassess, sometimes you need to change, sometimes you need to, you know, reconsider what you've decided your goals are. But you are the one who needs to take that initial action to make sure that you're going to have the outcome that you desire in the end. And it's about, you know, it's about putting good things out there, and they may be small good things, but it's about putting them out there and nurturing them, you know, to bring them into fruition later on. The good things in life don't just come to you. They're things that you can tend and create and nurture. So anyway, I love this actually as the answer to this question. I think it's really beautiful. So I'm loving this. This is this is awesome. This is an awesome exercise, you guys. Other people should do this, please. I've only seen a couple people do answers to this video, and I would love to see more people do this. So, okay, so the next question is, where does your self-worth come from? Here we go, the Seeker. Oh, interesting. So, my self-worth comes from the Shining Flame. So this is so interesting because this is actually the Knight of Wands. And the thing that I find really interesting about this is that, you know, the Knight of Wands is about action. I mean, the Knight of Wands is about, you know, pursuing the things that inspire you, pursuing the things that drive you to move forward, you know, the things that that really lead you in a particular direction. And I don't know if you've noticed, but I just realized that every single one of my answers so far to every single one of these questions has had to do with taking action. With the trolley problem, I said that I would take action to save the 5 people, even if that meant that one person would die. With the 5 of chalices, the difficult truth about the human condition, it was that I can take action to make things better rather than focusing on the difficulties in front of me. With number 3, what does it mean a good life? What does it mean to live a good life? I got the 7 of orbs. So that was all about, like, you are the gardener of the good things in life, and you have to be the one to take action to plant and nurture and tend those good things. So apparently, I get my self-worth from taking action, which is interesting because I mean, the Knight of Wands, or the Shining one, the Shining Flame here in this case, this is not how I see myself at all. If I, like, the one card out of the tarot that I wouldn't choose to identify with me, like, this is one of the cards that I would identify with myself the least. But clearly what that means is that I have a goal to be more this kind of person. I have a goal, like, I want to be a less passive person. When I'm not being a passive person, that is the thing that really, you know, makes me feel a strong sense of self-worth. And so, yeah, so that's fascinating. I'm learning a lot from this. This is an amazing exercise, you guys. Oh my God, it's so cool. The next question, number 5, is what existed before our universe was created? What existed before our universe was created? Here we go. Oh, interesting. I got the High Priestess. Okay, so you guys, this is so interesting because this is immediately implying something to me that I didn't feel like I actually believed. I mean, the High Priestess to me implies thought. It implies, like, inner knowing. And so getting the High Priestess is the answer to what existed before our universe was created. Almost, it feels like to me, implies like we existed in a mind, you know, we existed in, like, I mean, I don't want to say like the mind of God, but that's what it makes me think of. Or the mind of goddess, for that matter. I mean, since we're talking about the High Priestess here, that, I mean, this makes me feel like, I don't know, this is an answer that I was not expecting. And how I'm interpreting this answer is something that I was not expecting. This sort of implies to me that before the universe existed, we existed as knowing. We existed as some being's inner knowing. And that is, wow, not something that I thought I believed, but that gives me something to think about. So anyway, very interesting one. Okay. You know what? I'm actually going to look at the book for that one and just see. I'm really curious to know. This is Sophia, or wisdom personified. She guides you toward the deepening and broadening of your knowledge. Aspire for scholarship to wield the power of discernment. The priestess is the queen of the angels. When the priestess appears to you, she instructs on the cultivation of wisdom and intuition. The summation of choices you have made and the landscape of thoughts that you have painted for yourself have taken you to the threshold of a particular path, and now it is the time to venture deeper, farther. Here is the Wellspring of Magic. So again, Sophia, wisdom personified. I mean, isn't there that whole thing about, like in Genesis, about the wind that moves across the water? In Genesis being Sophia, being like the divine wisdom. Okay, there is so much going on here that I need to think more about, and I don't know if I can talk about in a YouTube video. So that is very, very interesting. That is a very, very interesting answer. I'm just gonna leave it there. Okay, question number 6. Are you ethically obligated to improve yourself? The Seeker. So, oh my gosh, we got another Wands card. So we got Sacred Fire, Ace of Scepters, the Awakening. I think that's a pretty clear yes. Again, I mean, this is about action. Again, I mean, this is taking action. Again, I mean, this is about that sort of spark of inspiration that drives you to take action. So, you know, this to me would strongly imply that I am ethically obligated. Whoops, my thing is messed up here. That I'm ethically obligated to improve myself. I don't see other way of interpreting this. I mean, this is, you know, strongly stating that, you know, again, action is what's warranted here. So it's really interesting. All right, final question here. The final question is, what is divinity? This is a really interesting one for me because this is a question that I struggle with at times, and I'll talk about that some other time in a different video. So, but let's see what this deck has to say to me. Here we go. The Seeker. Divinity is the Tower. Wow, okay. So divinity is the Tower. And I mean, I think, you know, tower moments are when you feel divinity. You know, tower moments are when you maybe understand that connection to the divine, because everything else, you know, that surrounds you is being broken down. You know, I mean, it's when you feel that strongest connection to divinity, maybe. You know, so I think that's really interesting. And I mean, it also suggests that divinity is the thing that shakes you. You know, divinity is the thing that that surprises you, that kind of rocks your foundations a little bit, that can be maybe the thing that you know, makes you rethink aspects of your life, and really kind of jolts you out of complacency, possibly. So I don't know. This is a really interesting answer, and this is again, this really resonates with me. And we'll get into this some other time as to why this really resonates with me, but it really resonates. I'll just put it that way. So anyway, this has been the most fascinating exercise, you guys. I would love to see a million more people do this one. So again, this is a 7 philosophical questions tag by Benebell Wen. An awesome exercise, a really cool way to really kind of have actually used my spirit keepers for the first time, and I really feel like it spoke to me in a kind of amazing way. So I'm kind of blown away by this, actually, you guys. That was a really amazing that was an amazing experience. So anyway, if you would, other people would love to do an answer to this particular tag, I would love to see it. I found this fascinating. There have been some other really good answers to this tag. Casper from Boy Diviner did one that I really loved. Rochelle from Amethyst Ascension did one. And it's just a fascinating tag. So if anybody else wants to do it, please do, because I'd love to see it. And let me know if you do one. So anyway, thanks again so much for watching, everybody. This was really interesting. Have a good one. Bye-bye.